Let's bring into the conversation someone just back from Ukraine, award-winning correspondent Charlie Sennott. He's the founder and editor of the Ground Truth Project, recently traveling to Kyiv to visit Ukraine's leading newsroom. Charlie, it's good to see you. This is an angle of the story we don't talk about a lot, but such an important one, getting the truth of the war out to the world. Tell us about UP and the newsroom you visited there.
Yeah, good morning, Willie. UP is an extraordinary newsroom, a place where you see people just going about their jobs, trying to tell the truth of this war. Ukrainskaya Pravda, the name of the news organization, means Ukrainian truth. They go by the name UP, and I've just never seen a newsroom just so focused. You know, we talk all the time about the way this country is showing resolve and its endurance. The newsroom is an incredible lens to watch that through. Every day, a team of about 50 are going out into the field, risking their lives. You have people back in the office who are constantly fighting off cyber attacks. They're also constantly fighting off incredible cold. You know, they are part of this entire country trying to survive this winter with what really amounts to a war crime of trying to punish collectively a people by plunging them into darkness and really frigid temperatures. And just being there with them and sort of in solidarity, really, in their jobs, watching them go at it was really, it was really inspiring. It was humbling, and it just reminds us of the incredible importance of those who are on the ground reporting on their own country and telling the story to their own citizens of what's really happening in there. And I came away just in awe of the work they do every day.
Mike Barnicle, I'll let you take it to Charlie, but I want to read part of what he wrote in his amazing piece talking about the newsroom being in one of the meetings when it was interrupted by urgent alarms on the cell phones of editors and reporters. Charlie writes, quote, "The phone alerts are silenced and the members of the news team stare with great intensity at their phones, reading their text warnings and firing messages to colleagues, family members, and military sources while following the latest government bulletins. They are checking on loved ones and colleagues at the same moment they're trying to cover the daily story. This is what the modern equivalent of air raid sirens feels like. And each member of the team knows precisely what to do at this moment. They pack up their laptops and head for an interior room without any windows and supported by thick concrete walls where they will continue the meeting. They pray the power stays on so they can keep the newsroom functioning, since their aging generator is not always enough to pull them through the night shift. Just another day at the office," quips the editor of the English language edition of UP, Mike Barnicle.
So, Charlie, you've covered fighting in Afghanistan, you've covered fighting in Gaza, and now you've been in Ukraine. Mechanically, how do they get the news out? Is it by the hour? Is it by the day? In what form? What form do they get the news out?
Ukrainskaya Pravda is a digital news organization, so they are constantly online. And this is a country that's very much online. People have good smartphones. They are constantly checking their phones. People are checking their phones with a different level of intensity than we do in this country, of course, because they're looking for every minute to get an update on what's going on. But one of the most difficult challenges, Mike, is power. This is a newsroom that plunges into no power. So when I got there, they were using an old generator, diesel-powered generator. They had to go out late at night, try to forage for diesel, bring it back. They had the fumes choking back from a fire escape into the newsroom, which is a 5-story walk-up. It was just untenable for them to make it through the winter. So one of the joyful moments we had was to bring them a new generator. We brought them a generator that can hold power for about 3 to 5 days, and it's solar powered. So they can put the solar panels out on the fire escape, and they're in business now for their overnight shift. That meant so much to them to be able to do that. And so that's why I was there, really, was to try to help the newsroom, to see what they needed. We brought Kevlar vests, we brought helmets, we brought first aid kits, the basics you need to cover a war. But what they really need is power. What they really need are more resources to help them continue to just bring the information to their own country. You know, they're at right now, they have about 35 million unique visitors to the site, but they're into the billions of page hits since the war started, and they've become this juggernaut of information, reliable, accurate. And as you say, it just comes through this incredible hard work around the clock, fact-checking, out in the field. Seeing their reporters out there risking their lives is something that I just don't want us to forget. You know, tremendous reporting from your reporter from the field today. But there really is an army of people who are there reporting on their own country. And it was a kind of a different level of intensity to watch that in action.
Yeah, they're incredibly brave, and as you write in the story, Charlie, they've been brave for a long time, reporting about the oligarchs of Russia, for example, and what they've been up to over the years. You can read Charlie's account online at thegroundtruthproject.org.